Cruising out of New Orleans for the first time, or maybe you're just looking for some tips and tricks. Well, I enjoy cruising out of New Orleans. Let's talk about cruising out of New Orleans, shall we? Hey, welcome to Blue Collar Cruising. My name is Ike Stevens. Hey, if you like cruising talk and just cruising stuff, whether it be we're on cruises or we're just talking about cruising, you subscribe to the channel and hit that like button, okay? Now, I apologize to all the subscribers. I was doing a weekly video and I just stopped. I just got busy doing other things, and I apologize, but we're going to get back here on track. That's just what we're going to do. We got a big year next year for 2023, and we want this channel going good and strong for 2023 because, man, next year is going to be a big year for Blue Collar Cruising and a lot of our friends. That's for daggum sure. Little hint, Carnival Jubilee. Yes, sir. We will be on the inaugural cruise on the Carnival Jubilee next year, so stay tuned for that. But that's a year away. Let's talk about here and now. Let's talk about Port of New Orleans, and let's do all that kind of crazy stuff. First of all, before I get into Port of New Orleans and my pros and cons, it's not really a pros and cons. I'm just going to talk about it, maybe give you some tips and tricks, and maybe some things to stay away from. Guys, did you watch our live feed from last week? If you didn't, we had our very first live feeds. Salt Life Cruising and I, we came on here and we just started talking cruising and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to look to do more of that here in the future, okay? We'll do some long-term format. We're not sure if we're going to do them live because his schedule, he's a truck driver. I am a truck driver, but I'm kind of retired. I do YouTube for a living now, so I am a little bit more flexible. But truck drivers have, you know, they're not as flexible on their schedule. So we may do some recorded content, but the same kind of conversations. Also, if you are a fan of the channel or just like talking cruising, want to build a cruising community with me, maybe we could have a conversation. We could bring you guys in on these conversations. Would love to meet some of you guys out there. Some of you guys, not all you guys. Port of New Orleans is one of my favorite ports, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. It's so easy. Trust me. Listen, I know a lot of people are thinking, oh, New Orleans, big city, and yes, New Orleans, big city. But you would be surprised how easy it is to get on and off the ship in New Orleans, okay? You'd think that Galveston would be better, and it's not. Listen, I love Galveston, I do, it's home. But New Orleans, the Port of New Orleans is way better. I'm sorry, it just is. I'm going to tell you the reason why. I'm going to tell you some things that you need to do. First of all, if you're staying the night before, and a lot of people do, understand this. You better bring some money because hotels in New Orleans are not cheap. They're just not. And if you do find a cheap hotel or motel, you may have listen, I hope you have a life insurance policy. I'm just saying, all right? Or your car's going to get broken into. This is one of those places where you want to spend a decent amount of coin for a hotel room just for your own safety. That's if you're staying inside the town of New Orleans. Now, you could go to Slidell, you could go to Laplace, you could even go as far out as Baton Rouge, or say Hammond or something. I'm not sure how much Hammond has, or Covington, places like that. There's places that you could probably stay at, but they're a little further out. You just have to account for that time. But a lot of people want to stay in New Orleans, and maybe it's their first time, and you'll go down to the French Quarter, and I get it. I think everybody should go down there at least once in their life and experience all that. But be ready to spend some coin on a motel or hotel room. Let's just say, for a regular weekend night, you're looking at $200 to $300 for a decent, safe hotel. Okay, you're talking about New Orleans, you're talking about Metairie, you're talking about all around that general, area, metro area. That's just on on a weekend where there's not a lot going on. Our next cruise out of New Orleans is in February, and guess what? It is Mardi Gras. Let me just say, $1,000 a night. This cheap thing right here ain't spending that much, and if I need to stay in Baton Rouge, I'll stay in Baton Rouge, doggone it. Or I'll stay in Laplace or Slidell, but I ain't spending no $1,000 a night. Because listen, I don't care about Mardi Gras. That stuff does not interest me, not one bit. So, but it's Mardi Gras. They know they can get their money. But I'm not going to stay at a cheap hotel. I'm just not going to do it. We've done it before, and let me tell you, it is rough. It is definitely rough. So spend the extra money. Do it for your own safety, for sure. So on cruise day, embarkation day, a lot of people are going to tell you a lot of different things. This is what I'm going to tell you when it comes to parking. Okay, you could go the cheap route where you go get a shuttle and all that nonsense, and it take up half your morning just to figure it all out. Or you could do like I do. I spend a little bit more money for the convenience. There's a parking garage at the Port of New Orleans. Okay, now the only downside to this, you can't reserve online this parking garage. I wish they would. I wish they could do it. That way you just get it out of the way, right? So it's one of those things where you go to a cash box up there, and and they you tell them how many nights you're staying and prints out a ticket. It's no biggie. And I've never seen it sell out. I've never seen it where it's that packed either. So not a big deal if you go up there. I go up there early anyway, though. The reason why I say to do this is because when you go there and you park, you're right there at the elevator, and that elevator takes you right down into the port where you check in. Okay, there's no shuttle taking. You ain't got to walk a mile. You don't have to do none of this. And this works really well for embarkation day and debarkation day, because on debarkation day, which is like, hey, you ready to get on to the house, you got stuff to do. Or I've been going on a 7-day cruise, and it's like, hey, we gotta go. I mean, you get on the elevator, you go up there to the garage, you find your pickup or your car or whatever, put your luggage in, and you're gone. You're gone faster than you can shake a stick. You ain't out there sitting there waiting on a shuttle or anything like that. And I would definitely say this is well worth it. A tip for this. This is a tip for all you guys that are doing this. You have porters there. So you go up your ramp right there, and you'll see some porters right there on your right hand side over on the curb. Okay, they'll take your bags, tip them, and tip them well. I'm telling you this for a reason. Give them a $20 bill. I was about to say a $100 bill. Hey, if you're that, hey, if you want to, they won't complain. A $20 bill, I think, is a pretty good little tip, right? You tip them well. Okay, they're going to take care of you, and I don't mean just your bags. I drive a pretty decent sized pickup truck, okay, and and it's a nice pickup truck, and I want a nice safe spot, right? And so, a lot of times what they'll do, you tip them well, they're gonna. Well, last time I did this, he moved some cones out. First of all, before he saw what I tipped him. He's like, oh, just go up there and, just find you a spot up there. Kind of did all that. But when he saw how much I tipped him, he got my attention. He moved some cones, and he parked us right there at the elevator. Didn't have to do none of this crazy crap, to find a spot. It was just right there, and a good safe spot. And let me just say, that's just a way to do it. Tip. First of all, you need to tip everyone. Okay, you want good service, tip them well, but tip your porters there at the terminal, because you won't regret it. You just won't. Listen, they're good hands too. That's the thing. These guys work their butts off. Okay, they work their butts off. It's a physical, demanding job, and hey, you show them that kind of appreciation, they're going to show some love back. The Port of New Orleans, the best spot is at that parking lot, because what are you going to do? You're going to get in that elevator, you'll go down a couple of floors, and you're right there at check-in. Right there at check-in. And it's easy. Like, it's almost self-explanatory. It's not like New Orleans. It's not like Galveston. Galveston is a freaking cluster. You don't know which way's which, and these people they have you all confused. Okay, not at New Orleans. New Orleans, especially on the Carnival side, I've never did the other terminal where they usually put Norwegian or Royal Caribbean. It's always been that very first terminal, right? And let me just say, it is so convenient to park right there, and you go into there and you just go through these steps, you go up an escalator, you go check in, and then boom, it's it. There's no shuffling you around, there's no confusion. You sit there and you wait for them to call your number, which usually, that's if you go in early like me. If you go in later, you don't have to. You just go right on, and you're on the ship. It's that simple. And let me tell you something about New Orleans. The best thing about New Orleans is leaving New Orleans. Going down the Mississippi. Absolutely the best part of New Orleans. Cruise in the wintertime there. And this is the reason why. Usually the sun goes down about 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere around there in that ballpark, right? And shoot, by the time, you've seen the sunset across the city and all that, that's kind of cool. But you're going down the Mississippi River at night. Listen, you don't get to the Gulf of Mexico until about midnight sometime around in there. So you want to talk about eerie. Going down the Mississippi is so quiet. You're going down there and you're kind of going slow. It's not really fast, right? And it's quiet. It's eerie. You see the city going away like all night long. You'll sit there and you'll see downtown New Orleans like forever, right? You'll see the Crescent City Bridge, and you'll see the lights on that. That sticks up like a sore thumb. And, it's pretty actually. But I mean, you can't get a better taste of cruising than that, in my opinion. Okay, yeah, we love the Caribbean. Well, you're going down to the Caribbean, okay? You just are, but on embarkation day, shoot, that is just a beautiful sight, and you got to do it. If you've never cruised in New Orleans, you got to do it. Thanks for watching Blue Collar Cruising, okay? I appreciate you guys. If you like this kind of stuff, where we're sitting there talking about cruising, consider subscribing to the channel here, okay? Subscribe to the channel and hit that like button on your way out. Thanks for watching. Let's talk to you guys next time. 73.